Hi, my name's Alan Stockdale and welcome to my podcast. And today I've got a very special guest. In fact, it's the best guest I've ever had in my entire life. Now, I've only been doing my podcast for a few days, so you might think, ooh, that's not going to take much. But it is the one and only, it is my wife.
It's not David Icke.
No, it's you. It's you, Jilly. It's my wife, Jilly. So, we've been married for 14 years, coming up to 15 years next year. We've been together just over 15 years. So we've gone through this awakening together. We've had a lot of experiences together, haven't we, on a spiritual level. So I thought it makes perfect sense for me and you just to have a chat and let people know about the stuff we've gone through, yeah? And the experiences we've had. And what we're going to try and do is try and keep it to one topic per week if we can. Obviously, it's a bit hard. You do vary off a little bit on tangents, but we'll try and keep it on the same theme. So I thought for the first one, we'd talk about our experiences with the supernatural phenomenon, ghosts, spirits, demons.
The haunted house.
The haunted houses, I should say, shouldn't we?
But the first one was the worst one.
Yes, it certainly was. Do you think that was the worst one? What about the portal at the top of the staircase at the flat, though?
No, I think the house had a lot more activity.
But I'm talking about, I think the one in the flat, though, do you think that was more of a
That was
demonic?
more of a darker entity. The one at the house was just a
portal.
lot of activity.
Yes, there was, wasn't there? Yeah. Yeah, so what we're going to do, basically, is just go through our married life, just talk about the different houses we've been, the experience we've had there, and how we've grown spiritually as self from being a little bit scared to start with, then to understanding what they are, then to actually get to the point in later life how we've sort of come to realise that they need our help, actually. So we'll get to that point. This might be a two-parter, we don't know yet. Let's just see how we ramble on, Eddie, and see how much you can talk, basically, yeah?
Not much.
Not much. Oh, make it a 5-minute episode then, yeah, shall we? Shall we wrap it up now? Oh, hang on, no, we won't.
I'll go and get the kettle on. Go on.
Yeah. No. So where shall we start? Right, so we got married, and the first house we'd ever got together was not far from where we are at the moment, on the outskirts of Hull, in the UK. And it was quite a nice house, wasn't it, Jill? It was a bungalow.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it'd been in my family before. It actually belonged, it was owned by my aunt at one point, and actually my grandfather died in that house.
And you didn't know that when we first moved in, did you? Or did you?
Yeah, I knew that she'd lived there. I'd
that?
been there
Right.
before as a child, and there was nothing quite strange about it then.
Right.
But there was a lot of phenomena, and it was kind of like not just, you can just see it because you're in tune. Everybody that lived in that house had an experience, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the kids
Yeah.
and some of the phenomenon, and there's one that kind of really sticks in my mind, and that was that guy that used to walk down the drive.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
There was literally a guy would walk down the drive. It was quite a long drive, and come to the front door, and when he got to the front door, nobody there.
Yeah.
But every single one of us, myself, yourself, the kids, had all seen the same guy at some point.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a scratch in a record, like a memory, a time memory.
It was like an imprintment on the land, wasn't it? Of his whatever it was, what he used to do in his life. I mean,
I don't know who he was.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been something from hundreds of years ago. It could have been.
I think he was more modern though, wasn't he? Because he was the way he's dressed
No,
and
actually,
everything.
yeah. Come to think of it, yeah, he was one. Yeah, he looked like he was like in an era from the 50s or something, didn't he? 60s, something like that.
50s. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first one that we saw, and that, like I said, we'd sort of worked that out. It just seemed to be a memory, didn't it? Because it was the same thing over and over and over.
And everybody
again,
described and saw the same man
and
at different times.
Yeah,
at different times.
And it even got to the point where we sat there with other people and say, "Oh, somebody's coming to your door," and we just say,
they're not.
"No, they're not. There's nobody there." That used to freak people out, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first one. So, and that, like I said, but that wasn't, like I said, I call those. They're not really.
I think that's the
spirits,
memory kind of implanted somehow. If you describe like timelines and paradigms as like a disc, a CD, and you're on like a specific timeline or wherever, or dimension, I think that's a bit of kind of bleed over, if you will, or something like that.
Yeah. Or it's either that, or it's something what's that guy maybe did something very traumatic or very meaningful to him, and he's put that imprint on the energy of
Just
the
going
land.
to the house,
And I think certain people like I said with the analogy of the CD player, some of us have got like a player what can actually pick up and play the CD, so to speak, innit? Yeah.
Well, the area was from is probably just before the house was built, because the house was built in the late 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
So it was probably just before then, really. So,
so it could have been anything, couldn't it? But that was the first one anyway, so that was, like I said, it was a recurring thing. But we did have more interesting things, let's say, didn't we? For instance, the one upstairs, what the kids saw that time.
A hand just closed Henry's bedroom door, didn't it? Just came in
just
right, just literally, just like a dark hand, and the music boxes kept playing themselves constantly, didn't they? And,
they did. Yeah. And we didn't realise at the time, but looking back now, I think it's us that attracts these things as well. We've come to that conclusion, haven't we?
I do think in that house, though, there was a connection to my granddad.
Yes.
For me personally.
Yeah.
Because, I did feel his presence there.
Yeah.
And he was a bit of a practical joker. The most memorable phenomena for me was when I was in the house all by myself, nobody in, having a shower, get out the bath, out the shower, and every single cupboard door in the house was open. And it certainly wasn't when I got in. I was like, oh.
Why couldn't you just do the housework for you as you was like coming in?
That would have been nice.
That would have been more handy, wouldn't it? Yeah,
let's open every single cupboard door.
Cook us a meal for 6 or something.
Yeah.
So do you think that might have been something to do with your granddad? Then,
I think it was probably
joker?
a practical joker. Yeah,
just letting you know there was there, because there was never no malevolence there, was there? Never felt nothing bad at all, did we? No. Even the kids, when they saw them upstairs,
they weren't frightened, was they?
No, there was interested. A little. Ollie was a little bit freaked out, a little bit, but not much.
But not really. She kind of got used to it, didn't she?
It didn't really. Yeah, it didn't really bother her, did it? Yeah. So I mean, what else happened in that house?
I mean, you could say was the poltergeist activity around the kids being adolescent.
Well, especially Holly, because it's female.
Specifically at that age.
She was what? Was she 13?
Something like that.
Yeah, 13. So, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
Could have been, but
that's a whole new phenomenon, isn't it? What the poltergeist is? What is that phenomenon? Is it just the person that's producing the energy, it's somehow focused by another entity? So it's just use the person's energy, the turmoil, the hormones of a teenage girl, especially it seems to be, doesn't it? And then focusing that and then causing things, or is it just another entity on its own?
Who knows?
I mean, I don't really know.
I don't have the answer to that.
I don't think anybody has really. They've got their own theories and opinions, but I don't know if they actually really know what they are. The
house, was it somebody went on a job and they spoke to somebody who then lived in that house, and other people down the street had realised that there was things happening in that house. But I mean, since we moved out and prior to that, I think there was activity. Apparently, it was well known for it, but well, we didn't know when we moved in, did we?
No. But it never bothered us, did it?
No.
It's straight. I look back now and I think, well, how come we were never freaked out by that? But I think the reason why is, as we've gone on a spiritual journey, I think we've realised, I think we probably already knew back then, but consciously we didn't, what these things really were, and you know what I mean? It's not something really to be scared of. It's a lot of these entities try to scare you because they get a kick out of that, but if you don't give them that energy, some get bored, don't they?
Yeah, but there was no malevolence at all. It was just all, for me, a lot of jokey, things that I would do if I was an annoying spirit.
You've often said
absolutely,
that, yeah. Maybe it were you then, maybe your higher self playing a trick on you.
It's possible. I doubt it, but it's possible.
So that was the first house then, wasn't it, in our journey? And that was back in, about 15 years ago, wasn't it? Then we moved into another property a few miles away. There was no activity in that at all, was there? There was nothing whatsoever.
Just a stray cat come to live with us.
Yeah, that was it. There was no other beings, anything like that.
No.
But if you think back though, when we was there though, me and you was very busy. I was very busy making that business work, and you were very busy with work, wasn't you? We seemed to be. I don't know if that had any bearing. Because often
we was very immersed in the 3D realm.
3D realm, And did that have anything to do with the fact
maybe wasn't open to things?
Yeah, or maybe the house itself, because it was quite new, wasn't it? It was reasonably new on a new estate. So so nothing really happened in that one. And then from there, which was the next house?
Went to St Nicholas Gate from there, didn't we? That was...
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty all right.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but we didn't
Yeah.
stop there very long though, did we?
No.
No. Once again, but then we moved in. Then we were in that apartment, didn't we?
Yeah.
And wow,
That was
that picked
that
up
was freaky.
that picked up a few gears then, didn't it?
That was a much darker.
So, how many years was that then after we first moved in? That was about.
Oh, God. Don't ask me to
So
do
was it
sums.
that in was in 3, 4? So about 4 years later. 4 years.
No, it was more than
Was
that.
it?
Yeah, it was probably about 6 years later.
6 years later, yeah. So 6 years later. So let's give you an update on me and Jill's sort of state of us awakening. Let's say, excuse me. Yeah, we'd both awoke by then. I don't know to the reality of the world. We both knew the world was not what it was supposed to be anyway, didn't we? We knew that.
Yeah.
I'd been reading a lot of David Icke books quite a few years before, and that sort of opened me up to all things. And I was sort of like, I was doing the research and then telling you about it, and we sort of woke up together, didn't we?
Yeah.
But you've always had like that knowing inside of you, haven't you? Something that you just that voice.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
always.
we come to realise since then it's just her higher self. She did have a connection to it well before. I mean, I've had to home on mine and practice it, but Jill had a connection all her life, but she just didn't know, didn't
realise.
Quite
didn't
recently.
realise what it was until recently.
No. So anyway, so like I said, we moved into this property, and by then we was quite knowledgeable, really, to be fair, weren't we, about entities, where they come from, even demons, ghosts, things of that nature. We come to realise that there's like there's a fourth reality, a 4D reality in between the sort of 3D and 5D, and a lot of these entities seem to live in this 4D reality. And a lot of them, well, all of them really, don't have no physical presence, and they seem to be entities a lot of them just seem to get energy off humanity, don't they? By causing trouble, by causing turmoil, by causing hassle.
They feed off negativity, don't they?
They do, yeah. And I think then the more positive type spirits, they sort of have to descend through from a higher realm. They seem to go through the 4D into the 3D, and they're the ones you can have nice experiences with, but not the ones that's pretending to be nice. That's a whole new story. But we'll get to that.
That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll forget about that bit, yeah. So anyway, back to where we went. So we moved into this apartment. Now this apartment this is where, for me, I've got my most memories of entities, of things, because we realised, or you realised, didn't you, that there was a portal at the top of the stairs, wasn't there? So in this apartment, you walked into the bottom door, you walked up a flight of stairs to the top, and then the apartment was there. We sort of worked out that somebody had done some sort of ritual, hadn't they?
Yeah.
You tell your version of what you think it was, and I'll say the same. Right? Oh, well, we both think the same. So basically, somebody's done some sort of ritual in that apartment and opened up a portal. Now, we don't know what it was, we don't know what it was, but something was opened, a portal, a rip in the dimension.
It was definitely there.
And things kept coming through this portal. Now, we'd not heard any stories about this, but we'd come to realise once we'd moved in that this place, and especially the apartments around us, people were moving in and out all the time, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There was a couple of residents what seemed to stop there all the time, but there was 2 apartments especially, wasn't there, was adjacent to ours.
And nobody ever stayed for very long.
No. Even we was there for 5 years, 6 years, and we just saw a stream of people coming and going, didn't we? So what we sort of worked out, putting it together, what we sort of saw, what we heard, is that obviously these people had been affected by this portal, and unlike us not having no understanding of that side of things, they just ran away. So this portal at the top of the stairs, we used to seem to get them in spats, didn't we? There'd be a lot of stuff would happen, and then it'd stop. Then it'd start again. You did at that point. You were the one that did all that, didn't you?
Close the portal, but then it would come back.
Yeah, it seemed to reopen, didn't it, somehow, yeah. I mean, one of the biggest memories I've got, we'd been there quite a few years, and we'd had some experiences, and I was in the kitchen. Now, this place only had electric cookers. Like anybody listening in the US, you all have electric cookers mainly, don't we? Most of you. But in the UK, a lot of people have gas. Don't they?
Yeah.
But in this one, it had electric cooker,
Everything was
hob,
wasn't it?
as we call it. And I was in the kitchen. I was doing my whatever, preparing some food. I can't remember exactly what I was doing. I wasn't using the oven, the electric hob at all. I walked out of the kitchen and I went back in the space of probably 30 seconds, a minute later maybe, something like that, and all the hobs had been turned on, and there was 3 or 4 cotton cloths, like dishcloths as we call them, put over the hobs to set fire. So basically this entity was trying to harm us. Now this is the first time in it, Gilly, that we'd experienced something that was trying to harm us.
Yes.
Other things had just been experiences, I'd seen a ghost, whatever.
Yeah.
But this one was trying to harm us. And something came over me, and I look back now and I think to myself, yeah, it was my higher self coming through me. But at the time it just seemed like me getting mad. But I knew we were all creator beings at this point. I know that we all fractals of source. I know that we all are our own creators. And that's why these entities feed off us, basically, because they can't create. They can only feed and manipulate us. And this entity was trying to harm us, basically. And I didn't know why. And I got really, really mad with this entity and started shouting at it and telling it that I was a creator being. And I'm going to vanquish you and recycle you to source. And at that moment, I got the feeling what it was. It was a very angry old man. I mean, you didn't get that. You didn't get that scene.
I think I was in the house at the time. So
I can't remember. I know you wasn't in the kitchen.
I don't think I was.
I know you wasn't there with me. But anyway, I got this very strong feeling. It was an angry man, and he was basically come through this portal. He died, and he was just extremely angry at anyone that was happy. Now we've always been a happy couple, haven't we,
yeah.
Jill and Jilly? So especially with us as kids as well, we've always had a nice atmosphere everywhere we've lived. And this man was just so angry at the fact that we were happy and he wasn't in his life. So basically, when I got so mad with him, I've looked back and realised that actually he got sent on basically he got healed. I didn't do the healing. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I mean, I know we can do this now. We can heal people now. We'll get entities. I mean, we'll get to that in a bit. But at this point, I'd not learned how to do that. But I knew that he got healed when he came to us, even though he tried to harm us. And he never came back, did he?
No,
never.
No.
That's the only time we've had an entity was tried to do something malevolent and tried to, because he could have burnt the flat down. He could have killed several families, couldn't he? The whole block. So yes, that was a really powerful one. Can you think of any more specific ones in that place? What happened?
Not specific. There was a lot of energies and stuff coming through that we just kept moving on or sending on or trying to find out why there was there.
Yeah. We used to get a lot of cold spots, didn't we?
But there wasn't all bad spirits.
Well, no, far from it.
No, there were. We used to get visitations from all sorts, didn't we?
We did.
And it was literally because of the portal. Until we closed the portal.
Yeah.
We just kept getting all sorts of visitations through. I suppose they just come through. That it's a. I don't know what a portal is. Is it just like a ripping space and time, or just some sort of?
Well, I think it's a portal to the fourth dimension and wherever else maybe as well. And I think it was opened by somebody what did some sort of ritual, maybe messing around with a Ouija board, something as simple as that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And they open portals if you don't know what you're doing. That's why I wouldn't recommend anyone to use anything like that.
Yes, we know about that, don't we?
But we certainly do. So that's definitely, I think, why the portal was opened. But it was you that closed it, though, wasn't it? Because back in those days, I was aware of everything, but I didn't seem to have. I kept telling you, I've got no abilities, but obviously I've learned since then that's not the case. We all have them. You just have to discover them.
Tap into them.
But you definitely had that instinct what to do, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think that came from that connection with your higher self.
Yeah.
I think your higher self just came in.
Everything I ever do, it's always based on instinct. There's no hard and fast rule.
And that instinct, as you've learned, is your higher self, isn't it? What's connected to you. You're quite lucky to have that connection all the time. And that's why, I mean, to be honest, anyone listening to this, any men listening to this, you know your wife's always right, don't you?
I am.
And a lot of you placate that, don't you? Because, you know, it's what is it, a nice wife, easy life sort of thing.
Happy wife,
happy
happy
wife,
life.
happy life, that's the one, yeah. But in my case, it's true. Annoyingly true. She's always right. And when we first got married, I used to fight you cat and mouth on opinions about this and that, and you'd say, no, that's not the right way to do it, Alan. My stubbornness, because I'm a little bit stubborn, aren't I?
Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. And that used to come in, and then it took me, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years of his marriage, and it's come to the fact that, yeah, you are right. But to be fair to me, though, Julie, that's because your higher self was connected to you. So you were cheating. You were tapping into that, weren't you?
Well,
but you
of
didn't know
course.
it. You didn't know it, though, did you?
Of course.
No, but she was always right. So you guys out there, if your wife is right on a regular basis, that's probably why, even if she doesn't know it herself. Yeah. So we had quite a lot of experience with entities, didn't we? Really. And then when we
Yeah.
moved to the next property,
The last house that we was in, there was nothing for a while, was it? It was only recently.
yeah, it's only, 2020-ish, something like that, wasn't it? A couple of years back now.
Yeah, not that long.
Yeah, it was. It's about 2 years ago, isn't it?
I know
Yeah.
the portal kind of opened up in the living room.
But we didn't know why, did we? At that point.
But that house, it was very in close, very proximity to what we called the House of Satan.
Yes.
Which was a property just a little bit further up the road.
200 metres away, 300 metres away.
And that property had some serious bad energy.
Yeah. I mean, well, shall we just tell them exactly why we thought that?
Yeah.
We used to take his dog for a walk on a public track, what was right next to this property. Now, this property is in an area right next to a main road, public access all around. But the people that bought it, they obviously knew things about how to do things with common law, because they put a sign up saying private or property keep out. And it's one of those signs, if you know anything about common law, you can't trespass. Police can't go on. Anything can't, unless they've got a search warrant. Anyway, so they knew that side of things. So that didn't bother me. I thought, that's just somebody who knows the rights. But as we started taking the dog for a walk around this area, we noticed that they'd actually built up like a soil embankment, and it was a good 25 feet high, wasn't it? And it encircled the entire property. And I even looked on Google Earth, and I could see this. It went all the way around, so it's like they wanted to be totally private and totally cut off, but yet in the middle of a busy village, basically, wasn't it? Yeah. And when we used to walk past it, I always felt like there was somebody watching us.
It was horrible. Yeah,
It was
and
horrible.
The dog used to run
run
on
past,
that little bit of stretch.
Yeah.
He used to run past it. He didn't like it. It's one place he didn't stop and sniff very much.
No.
But you could feel the energy coming off the properties. It just was not nice at all.
And when we sort of first started feeling that, we both surmised, oh, there's something's happening there. What's not good, but or there's something has happened. But as time went by, because we lived at the property for quite a few years,
covens, and has been in that specific area for quite a lot of years.
Yeah, because you've lived around here a lot longer than me, haven't you?
And there's definitely always been rumours of covens there and things like that. So it would make sense to me if that rumour was...
Well, you think about it, Jill. There was one event that really convinced us, wasn't there? And that was just not far before we left that property, was it? About 2021, something like that. When it was coming to Halloween, do you remember? I was actually taking the dog for a walk round there, and it was about 3 days before Halloween. And because of all the stuff that we know about, these rituals and how these Satanists work, we know these the big events in the calendar. They always sacrifice things. Now, bear in mind that this was in a village, but this house wasn't.
It was right on the edge of the village.
Right on the edge of the village.
Yeah.
It wasn't a farm. There was no need for it. It wouldn't have cattle on it, have sheep on it, have goats on it. But yet, this guy came in a truck and he pulled up to this property and he went in really quickly. But I saw in the back he had a load of goats and a load of sheep, and these animals were crying. They were crying as if they knew that something was going to happen. And straight away, it must have been my higher self speaking to me, or just my intuition. I don't know. But I thought, they're going to get sacrificed. It's so near to
it was.
Halloween.
It was a couple of days, maybe a day or two before. Not long, was it?
Yeah, it was. And that just sort of, for us, we knew already that there were Satanists, and we called it that place, didn't we?
The Satanist place.
So, so the reason we're telling you about this, basically, because we all know, anyone listening to this, these Satanist convents, they're all over the world, they're everywhere, they're in all government, but anyway, that's another subject again. But basically, this negativity was not far from where we lived, and I think that's why a lot of these entities seemed to be around that area, didn't they? Now, what we need to put into perspective is the situation, spiritually wise, what me and Jill was in at this point now. So we've gone into the last house but one from where we are now. And we really advanced a lot, hadn't we, in spiritual wise. Yeah. We knew what entities was. We'd banished them. We'd helped them. We just realised, and I'll explain, in case you don't know this information, what we knew then. Basically, what we come to realise is that a lot of these entities, what were coming into this house, and on the face of it, seemed to be trying to scare us, seemed to be trying to haunt us, not do physical harm, but trying to scare us in some way, wasn't there? They scared the dog a lot, didn't they? The dog sensed it before us, scared, and his tail go right under, he'd run off, wouldn't he, get out of the way, or he'd cuddle right up to us. So there was doing harm emotionally to my dog. Now, for me, that's bad. And usually, anyone, as we all know, we all love as dogs and as cats, and anyone does any harm to him, you get mad, don't you? You want to stop it. But what we realise at this point is that these entities, in fact, no, let's rewind and forget that a bit. Tell that story, Julie, about the time that you had the interaction with that bad entity, and when it went up your arm, and what you did to help it. So just to give people an idea what you can do if you're in the right.
I was going to say which one, but yeah.
We'll just pick one, because pick the first one you did, and then take it from there, what you can remember.
Yeah, I don't see visually things. Probably because I can't see anything without my glasses anyway, but I'm not a visual person, but I have a really... Yeah. I always get a strong feeling. It's always a sensation. It's a knowing. And I guess in my mind's eye, I can kind of see that energy or physical form. And I could just feel this energy, and it was a really cold spot. It was, and I just stood where I could feel the cold spot. And then I just kind of they put some protection on myself, obviously. It goes without saying. But I kind of tried to connect with it and kind of let it touch my body, sort of come close to me so I could maybe sense. And it was just lost. But it was confused and angry, and it just wanted to move on. So, you just kind of help that move on. You just talk to it, move it on, or kind of visualise going through a portal and into the light.
So that one you're talking about, then, that was just like a disincarnated soul, a human.
Yes, it wasn't a demon. Oh yeah. I mean, the demons are slightly different.
Well, yeah, quite a bit different.
Yeah. I think one of the entities that I moved on, it was scary. It was trying to scare everybody.
Yeah.
And I just didn't show any fear, because that's the thing that they feed on. It's fear, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You've just got to lose that fear and just know and trust in yourself. They can't hurt you.
And you have the power, don't you? That's what they're after.
That's
power.
it.
Yeah.
And I just sent that demon love.
Yeah.
Absolute, unconditional, whole load of love, touched it, and it dissolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you banished that one bit in a way, didn't you?
Just basically.
To where we don't know. Do you think you banished it then? I
don't know where I sent it. To be fair, I just
So that
really think about it.
So I'm trying to think. So that, because obviously since then we've progressed, and especially me, my powers have come into its own the past sort of 6 months, haven't they? And I think so. Really, you didn't probably move that on. You probably just deflected it away from where it was,
gone,
maybe.
I don't know where it will have gone. All I was concerned about, it was upsetting the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
It needed to go.
Yeah.
So,
I think, do you remember it was in the same room? It always used to happen in the front room, didn't it?
Yes. There was a cold spot, wasn't there?
And it used to come to that cold spot, didn't there? And I think one of the times I was in the room with you, and this is the one that I saw in my mind's eye, and I could see what was happening. And this is where it changed for us. We realised that these entities, in the form there was at the moment, they was trying to scare us, but they was just sort of following like a programme. As far as they were concerned, now let's just take yourself out of the box here. and think about it, because I mean this is called beyond spirituality, so that's what that's the sort of thinking that we do here. Is basically you think about these entities. They've come into this reality to play their part in the evolution, really, of all our souls. Because without the darkness, you don't appreciate the light, and without the good, you don't appreciate the bad, and bad and good. So these entities come into this realm, and they probably come from a very conscious place, just like we do before we delve into these bodies, and probably have a specific role to play, a part to play in helping maybe us grow. Maybe maybe these entities will come to us. Maybe part of their contracts was to actually come, give us these experiences, show us how to deal with it, to help other people to deal with their maybe, you know what I mean? So that sort of thing. But the problem is just like when we're born into this world, when they're born into their reality as such, in a fourth dimension, they forget who they really are. They forget they're connected to source. They forget we're all part of a wonderful family that's just basically having these experiences to give us these experiences, because we all live forever. So basically these entities don't know who they are. And what we come to realise is they're attracted to us, wasn't they, Jill? It was like I could see with that entity that time this one came, that first of all the dog saw it again. So Prince saw it. He was the first one that gives a warning sign, wasn't he? You said it was creepy. You could feel the coldness creeping up your arm, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And I could. And so what we did, you remember, we tag teamed it together, didn't we?
Yes.
You did what you do, like you've just described, and I sort of did what I did, and it seemed to me that we became like one, as if we become like one being, didn't we? Sort of doing what we needed to do, and it turned out that these entities, in the higher selves part of them, wanted to stop being this evil entity, wanted to stop being playing the part. But because they're playing the part like an actor's submerged himself in the part so much that he doesn't realise he's playing a part, that's what they'd done. But they knew instinctively that some part of them knew that they didn't want to be that no more. But they didn't know any other way to be, did they? No. All they knew what to do is to feed off people's emotions, cause them badness, create situations, whatever it may be. So what we did, basically, we approached it in a different way, didn't we? You sent it the love, then I communicated with it and let it know what I've just said now, so to educated it on what it was. And what we've done since then, and it's a little bit more advanced than what we did then, but basically we helped them remember who they was. And we let them, and then they told us then, after, as they started to see the connection to the source creator in themselves, even though there'd always been this evil entity, all their existence, what they could remember, they realised what there was, wasn't there? Yeah. And then they went back to source, went back to the creator, went back to the in-between life, whatever description you want to call it. They there was healed, basically, wasn't there? They realised who there was. And what these entities had done, subconsciously, they started to be attracted to us, didn't they? And I think that's why we've attracted a lot of entities overall. It's just the fact that we wasn't in a position, we didn't know what to do, we didn't realise what these entities was. Curve, isn't it? Yeah, so it was like a double-edged sword. They sort of come to us to give us the experience to learn, but at the same time, then we helped them, didn't we? Yeah. So this particular day when this happened, we managed to. And it was quite emotional. I remember being quite emotional. It was so grateful that we'd helped it reconnect with itself and it moved on. And then another entity came quite quickly, didn't it? And it was. I mean, was it the same night? Was it? Wasn't something another one come virtually nearly straight away?
I think it was maybe the next day.
Was it the next day?
I think
yeah. So same again. It was the same sort of scenario. And then when I went to bed that night, I started to have a dream. And I've looked back now and I've realised it was my higher self and me working together. Because I did set the intention when I went to bed that if we can do that while we're awake, what can we do when we're in that sort of dream state, when we're more connected to as higher selves, etc. And I had this experience, and I've talked about this in a book where I've wrote, and it was like I was doing it like in fast forward. The wall in front of my bed turned into like this sort of like a blue screen. And from the left-hand side, all I could see were these entities coming. And I was just blasting this love and this knowledge of what there was. So what I'd done and what we'd both done on a sort of took us, 20 minutes to do that, did it? I was doing this in a second, in 2 seconds. And there was literally hundreds of entities came that night and was healed. It was like a big lantern for any entities what wanted to be healed. Obviously, we're not talking about forcing things to be healed. No, because they're not on that. Exactly, they're not on that part of their journey where they're ready to be. They serve the purpose, so to speak. And it's like, I think we was like an extension of Source, of God, of Created, to help them then to think, right, come on, you've done your job now, boys. Time to girls, come home and enjoy. And look back at your life and think, I did what I needed to do. So, yeah, that's what we did. So then that really brought us into a full circle on understanding reality. And it did, especially for me. And that's what inspired me to write the book I did, because a lot of people, you see reality, you get so immersed in the 3D, don't you? You don't realise there's so much more to where we are, what these demons are, or so-called demons. You know what I mean? Obviously, we haven't got all the answers, of course we haven't, but I do know that a lot
Are they demons, or are they pieces of Source like us that were contracted to be
correct
like that?
That's exactly what they are.
Are they really demons?
It's just a word we give them, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Or let's say, looking at the all the films you watch, all the horror films, it's all that programming. You just assume that's what they are. But yeah, you're right. I totally believe we are. I think basically reality. I know I'm going a little bit off the subject, but I think this helps people understand. We're all playing a big game. I've said this on numerous videos. I say it in my book a lot. It's one big game that we're playing on a cosmic scale. And if you take yourself out of this game and think, right, you live forever. Forever's a long time, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It blows your head, doesn't it?
Don't even go there.
No, the thought of infinity. But so you live forever. You never stop. You're a being that's always been and always will be. Now, I know it blows your head because our little 3D minds can't get around it, but that's the case, basically. So, if you've got forever to live, then why not have adventures? Why not go into a realm where you're all playing parts, and you can be the most evilest part you want, and you can be the most angelic part you want, and all the things in between, just to have experiences, just to let your soul grow. So, and I think these entities, all of them, they're all, at the end of the day, everything's created from the Creator. Hence the word, Creator. So, therefore, every single evil spirit, whatever, it all comes from the same source. And I think if you look at it from the point of view, you're just having a big game experience, but you're playing it so well that you forget who you really are, like we all do. And I think part of our journey on this planet and what we're all going through is a reawakening of that fact, isn't it? And sort of reconnecting to yourself.
I'm enjoying playing Grumpy Old Lady.
I'm enjoying playing Spiritual Warrior now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone from a bricklayer and a plasterer and a plumber to a Spiritual Warrior.
I'm just going to stick with Grumpy Old Lady. It's great.
Oh dear. Well, I think we've covered that subject quite well, haven't we, today?
Yeah.
So I hope you've enjoyed that, everyone. We are going to make this a weekly thing, aren't we, me and you? We'll just pick some subject. Well, whatever. Yeah, but I'd like to do it every week personally, but we'll leave it with you. And just talk about whatever subjects. So, shall we just call it a day for this week, shall we, Julie?
Yes.
Yes, we'll say goodbye then to the viewers, the listeners.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.